Hi everybody, welcome to our new Montessori live. I'm trying to add Jeanne-Marie. Here we are.
Coucou! Here we are
Hi,
again.
here we are. So I just wanted to say that each month we will talk about a new topic, a specific topic related to Montessori philosophy. And so today we will talk about sleep. So if the parents are watching us, if everybody sleeps well in the house, great. If you have some issue, let's talk about it. Maybe we have some answers for you. So my first question for you, Jeanne-Marie, would be, what did Maria Montessori say about sleep?
So there's not much written about sleep other than there is like a passage about how the child can make their own bed, which to me is just beautiful, you know. But this can only happen if we do what Montessori, the way that we set up our Montessori home and especially the sleep area, is that we actually avoid using a crib, which may sound kind of, you know, so strange and crazy because the crib was created, it's a 19th century invention to appease parents. Like I'm putting my child in a container, they're not going to go anywhere, they're safe there and fine. But we have to remember that the crib is a container that the child is being put into. The child cannot get into their crib on their own, and they cannot get out on their own. So this kind of takes away one of the main principles of Montessori is the freedom of movement. Movement is life. Movement is, you know, we need to let the child move on their own free will. And that's why we don't use any type of containers. We don't use exercisors and playpens and cribs. And so the idea of not using this crib, so what do we use instead? We use this idea of a floor bed, which is really a mattress on the floor. There's now some, you know, companies that make very nice wooden frames for it. And basically it's just low to the ground so that the child can get in and out on their own. And so parents might say, but no, I don't want that. I want them to stay there. And this is a work on ourselves and a work on the child, but trusting that if we have a respectful ritual around, you know, nighttime sleep and nap time, that the child will learn to know that this is where I relax and sleep. And this is, so, you know, make it very simple, inviting, cozy. Do not put a mirror next to the bed. I see a lot of, you know, Montessori beds. That is something that is going to excite the child. The mirror, the mirror is for the movement area, the awake time. So really very, just a little cocoon, like something that we're going to want to lie down. And so the idea of the floor bed too is it can be a crib size, it can be a twin size, it can even be a queen size mattress, right? I've seen families that have used a queen size from the beginning. Lovely. And the idea there is that the child is going to learn that this is the area where I sleep. And eventually when they are you know, more mobile, they are either crawling or walking, they will go there when they are tired because they will know that this is where I sleep. And when they are done and rested, they can get up on their own and get a toy or come see you. They're not screaming bloody murder of get me out of this of this crib, which is often what happens, right?
Yeah.
So
and so can you start right after birth, or do you start like a few months later? When is the best to start with a floor bed?
So for me, I really recommend that you set up the floor bed before you have your child. Like when you're setting up the nursery, you know, for me, the nursery that I recommend, and I have a little download over on my Instagram in my bio of just like the minimalist nursery but it's really a space for the child to develop and adapt with ease. So we really take them into consideration, not our, not our idea of what a pretty nursery is, but really what is developmentally appropriate. So I would definitely set up a floor bed from the beginning. It's true that the first few months, I prefer using like a little Moses basket but that can be on the floor bed already.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Because then put it on top. Yeah.
They're going to look around and they're going to recognize like, oh yeah, this is where I rest and fall asleep.
Yeah. And then you can remove it. And
exactly.
It will stay in his bed. I mean, on the mattress, because he knows that's where.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing that we use in Montessori too is this kind of like a little security pillow that we call a tamponcino. And this is something that we can carry an infant in. So there, again, if the child has fallen asleep, you can put the tamponcino down on the floor bed with the baby. They stay in their warmth and their smell, and it's perfectly fine. And families will tell me, oh, but my child is going to roll off. They might. And honestly, they also might not, because a child is very smart. Like at the beginning, they're going to slither to the edge, and they're going to feel that and they're going to slither back. So they're learning what that boundary is. But it's a work on ourselves too.
It's a work on the adults. Yeah, I think the parents need to work on it and to accept that.
Exactly.
Let's remove the crib and
exactly. And making the entire room safe.
Yes.
Jennifer here says, we co-sleep here in India. Is this okay? Of course it's okay. If it's working for you, that's the thing. Sleep is so personal. If everybody is getting restful sleep and getting a good night's sleep, then do what works for you, right? It is so personal. I think personally, I would have liked to co-sleep. My husband was just, there is no way this child is being in our room. So that's what we did. And it was different, and it's all worked out. So
yeah, I think what works for your family, like your family, the couple and the kid works for you, it's good. And you don't compare with what the others do, because
exactly.
What works for a family doesn't work for another one.
Exactly.
We have a question. If the toddler is a floor bed, is it dangerous to leave a breastfeeding chair or sofa inside the room? So it's what you mentioned, like you need to secure the room and everything needs to be safe. You can't leave little pieces or anything like around.
And it's going to be also seeing what your child does. Like maybe that, that breastfeeding chair, they don't even bother with it. If you see that they're, intrigued and climbing on it.
Yeah.
Or can you tell your child, like, this is only for mommy, and you can be here when mommy is here and we read a book. That's going to be really, how easy those boundaries are set with you. So I would just be vigilant on that. It might not be an issue for some children. It might be a big issue where some children, all they have in that room is a mattress on the floor.
Yeah.
It looks pretty bare, but that's what they need at the moment, like the least distraction. But Karina, it really depends on how active your child is.
Yeah, because it's just if it's just born, you can leave it. You can leave the chair.
Well, she says it's a toddler, so it just depends.
Yeah.
If he's,
if he's climbing,
is a climber.
You never know.
and if the sofa is not that high, they're going to fall. And if it's, carpeted floor, they're going to, not be happy, but they probably won't repeat it again. So it's kind of what you're willing to let them explore, what you're willing to have as what I call a natural consequence to the action. Like, let them know this is not for sleep. Right. Right.
And if we have some parents watching now and they have like a 1-year-old or like a toddler and they want to change, they want to remove the crib and put a mattress on the floor, do you think it's possible to do it now, or
sure.
Do you think,
it's possible to do at any time. The only thing that I will say is if your sleep routine is working well for you, and everybody is getting a good night's sleep, don't change anything. Like sleep is more important than anything right now, right? This is where we all recuperate and such. So if it's working, don't mess with it. If you see that, your child is really resisting being put in the crib, or your child is starting to want to climb out of the crib, that can be dangerous. So it's really this idea of taking the mattress and putting it exactly where the crib has been. So again, we have these points of reference. Oh, this is where I go to sleep. Try as much as possible to do it with the child. So it's not a surprise to them where has my crib, but just say, I've noticed that you don't like being in the crib anymore. So let's just put the comfy mattress on the floor, and then you can get there on your own and such. So do it together. But yes, it can be done at any time. And the beauty of starting with the floor bed from the very beginning is that you will never have this issue of transition, because I hear a lot of parents having this issue of, going from the crib to the toddler bed to the big bed, and sleep gets mixed up. So try to set up something from the beginning that is just going to make it easy for all of you.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, like you say, like if my second one is starting to fight the first nap in the morning, so I put the mattress. So I still have the crib and I have the mattress, and he's actually asking me, he's pointing. He wants to go on this one. He doesn't want to go on the crib. And so for the morning nap, I just decided, okay, you don't want to sleep, it's fine. Just, you need a quiet time. And like most of the times, he will go by himself and he will fall asleep on the mattress. So it's true that if you see that your child is fighting it and doesn't want to go in the crib, I mean, I think we need to change. I mean, I need to change some things. I know that.
Exactly.
But it's because I also have the experience with my first one. He was sleeping on the floor. So, but yeah, for many reasons, I didn't want to start with the second one, but I will do it now because I know that it's maybe the solution for us to sleep.
Right. And it's really, like I say, it's really trusting the process and trusting that your child will figure this out. Like they need our help a little bit at the beginning, but if we can, have an area that is inviting us to rest and to relax and to sleep, then it's wonderful. And so we want a clutter-free space. We don't want too many exciting toys around, and we're just and this mattress can be in your room. It doesn't have to be in a separate room. Like it can I work with a family right now, and they have this beautiful little floor bed in the corner of their own bedroom, and that's it. That's the sleeping room. I've had families that have two king size mattress next to each other, and everybody sleeps on.
They all sleep together. It really depends. It's very personal, and some babies babies or toddler will accept to co-sleep, and some kids are getting excited too. I mean, by experience, my first couldn't really stay with us. He was like, he wanted to move, and so it's really personal, like you said. But it's true that giving the freedom, and I was surprised the first time he fell asleep for nap on the mattress, because I was like, oh, I can't hear him, and actually he was on the mattress sleeping, and I was like, wow. So you're right. You're really right, Jean-Marie, because he went by himself, and I didn't ask him to do it. So it's true. It's really to trust your child and follow what we have a question.
Yeah. Jennifer asked, how do we handle a kid who has a cold, flu, and wakes up often? This is with a lot of patience and compassion, Jennifer, because they need us to help them through the night. I actually remember, taking my little one and having her sleep on my chest, kind of sitting up, and she was, quite younger, but that was my instinct of, I needed her to, not lie down because she was congested. And sure, I didn't have a great night's sleep, but that's what I needed to do at the time. So, just like when you have a cold
Mm-hmm.
and aren't feeling well, you're going to be, stuffy, waking up and such. So having that compassion for them, that I'm here for you. So here again, I'm going to, plug my floor bed idea is that if you have, for example, a twin size mattress on the floor for your child, well, during those moments, you can actually be there with them,
Yeah.
next to them. It's going to be more
And
comfortable.
you can rest
Right,
with them. So,
right,
because the crib and you have to,
exactly.
it's for your back. And she also asked for the nightmares and terrors. Night terror, it's quite different because you can't really do anything. It's tough for them. But yeah, with the floor bed, you can just relax next to them.
Reassure
And
them.
yeah.
Nightmares, and that's again, depending on their developmental stages that they're going through. Like if they're having, very, like you say, a tired day or a very exciting day or something, big happen. It's also just helping them process it and just be there for them, give them something to relax, but just reassuring them. And I know that, sometimes when they are walking and they are able to get out of their bed, they might come in and wake you up and all this. Here, it's to have a very consistent routine. So if you are not wanting to have them in your bed, for example, and this is very personal. Some families, finish the night with all three kids in the bed. That's really, you do you. But if you don't, then it's really that consistency of you get up and you walk them back to the bed without much chatter, without much of anything. Reassure them, I love you, everything's okay, and then you go back to bed. It might happen several times a night, but staying consistent in what you do so that they get the message that, I'm not going to get in that bed, like, right?
Yeah.
Or you just say, when the sun is up and it's out, you can come in our bed at that time. So what I'm trying to say is you as a family have to create your own kind of ritual around sleep, and your own values. There is no one way of doing it. What
Exactly.
is most important is that everybody is getting a good night's sleep and is feeling rested and such. And if parents, you need to take a nap, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's so important for me.
And also, like, we often, when we become parents, we are very stressed about how many hours the baby needs to sleep, or the toddler or the child. And so we have this pressure and we want them to sleep and sleep because, this is what we were told too. But some kids are different and they don't need as much sleep as the other, or like siblings, you have one that's going to sleep a lot and the other one not that much. And I feel like really like knowing that it's okay. It's just okay. If the nap is shorter than the other one, it's okay, because you and I'm sure we don't sleep the same amount of at night. We don't, and
Right.
this is something that for parents, it's a lot of pressure. Sleep, food, everything. But yeah, so I think like,
and you bring up a great point, because sleep, food, and toileting are three
yeah,
things
all the control things.
are three things that we don't have control as a parent. We do not have control. The only control that we have is the environment that we create. So here for sleep, it's that inviting space, that floor bed that is comfortable, that is inviting, that they know that is where they can rest. The same thing with food and toileting, but since we're focusing on sleep. But I will say that even if a child, needs less sleep, I would still have a rhythm in the day where there is always a quiet time, where
Yeah.
there is always a rest time. Because you will be surprised, as they get older, they might, I remember like when my second started going to preschool and he was fighting the naps at preschool and everything, he would catch up on the weekend. He would do like 3-hour naps on the weekend, because we kept in our rhythm of the day that there's always a time to sleep. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm the same way. Like I can go for weeks, and then there's going to be, 3 days where I'm going to sleep in, I'm going to take some naps, and it's just like, so we just need to always have a good area and a good routine around rest, like prioritize rest. I think we live in a society where rest is like you're lazy or something, like it's a
Mm-hmm.
bad thing. But
Mm-hmm.
rest is what gives us energy. Rest is what, permits us to be creative and be enthusiastic about things. If we're always tired, we're in a bad mood, we're irritable, and so forth. So really have this value around rest, and model rest to your children as well. So
Yeah, like you said, and some kids will sleep with their nanny or at school, and they won't sleep during the weekend. It's really depend on the environment and what they. And we have a comment like putting the sibling to sleep at the same time takes an hour. Yeah.
it does, and I'm sorry, Jennifer, it does, but this will get easier as they get older. I don't know
Oh,
how
I don't know
old your
old. Yeah,
yeah,
how old they
how
are.
old your children are. It will get easier, and there I would also say, like, pay attention to the routine. Like, have simplify, minimize the steps to your routine, because that will help. I think we often, like Cynthia was saying, we stress so much around sleep that we create these like out of the extraordinary
Mm-hmm.
sleep routines. And the thing is we're going to be doing those for many, 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 many nights. So let's keep it really simple, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's whether it's a bath or a shower or not, or a foot massage or whatever, but something very simple that is going to be calming, and then and try as much as possible to involve them both, right? I don't know how old the siblings are, but sometimes it's also kind of putting it out there of, you two are really having a hard time, finding sleep. Like what could we do together so that we can all kind of calm ourselves and have a good night's sleep? And
And and
yeah,
sometimes they are also anxious because they don't know what's going on. They're gonna sleep, but am I gonna see mommy again? Or so
exactly.
sometimes you need to
Right.
use some tools. Uh,
And one of the tools that I really like, that I recommend to families, is creating, like, make your own little story around what the sleep routine is. This not only helps you kind of say it every night so you remember what the routine is and you stick to it.
yeah.
It's also super helpful if you have maybe a babysitter that's coming in on an
Mm-hmm.
evening you want to go out, or the grandparents are going to stay at their grandparents. It's like, it's kind of your little manual. And the beauty of it is that you can create one with like photos of your children, so it's super personal. And make sure that the end of the story is always what happens when we wake up. So when the sun comes up, we get to, go cuddle with mommy and daddy, or we get to, go downstairs for breakfast, or whatever, and have that picture of the awake time. Because like Cynthia says, it's like sleep for some is letting go of control,
Mm-hmm.
which for some people can be really hard. So it's really, surrendering to the unknown. And for some children that can be difficult. So if we can reassure them that, it gets dark, we sleep, and then we wake up and the birds are singing, and life happens again.
And
Yeah,
it helps them to anticipate and to know what to expect
exactly.
after the night. So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I did also want to answer a question that came into my DMs when I announced I was doing this live with you. Is a mom, and I'm not sure if she's here, but a mom who had a 19-month-old who, the only way that her child was falling asleep was on her shoulder, walking around. So
Mm-hmm.
there again, it's really the routine, the rhythm around sleep that needs to be tweaked a little bit. And So there for sure, I might really look at this idea of the crib, because it sounds to me like this child just does not want to be put in the crib. So they're like, let's get rid of it. Let's put the mattress on the floor, and really think beforehand what works for you. Like, what are you willing to do? Because this mom was saying that, 19 months, it's getting heavy.
Yeah.
When she's sick, she had her booster vaccination, all of this. So there's times where you just cannot be carrying a child around. So think of what are you going to be okay with? Are you okay with sitting on the bed while she falls asleep and caressing her back and just being there? You could do that, or lying down with her, right? But again, only the floor bed will permit you to do that. So that, I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, and sometimes also, I think maybe I don't know for this mom, but you are very stressed because you don't want your baby cry, and you don't want to let him cry, and you really want to keep your baby in your arm, because if you put him in the crib, it's going to cry. Or so I think it's a huge stress, like we said, sleep, but also when baby cries, it's
Of
really
course.
like, it's something that as a mom, you're really like, you really want to stay with them. And sometimes it's, I don't know, I have two different kids. One needed me to stay with him, and the other one if I stay, it's worse. And
right.
As soon as I leave the room, he stopped. It
Right.
just won't and now it doesn't call me. It's just like I said, I put the mattress on the floor for the nap, and he's living his life.
Right.
But it's true that for the first one, I was like, he was crying and I couldn't let him go. I had to keep him in my arms.
Of course.
It's very stressful for the parents too, to find the right solution.
Yeah.
And
I don't believe in the whole technique of letting them cry it out. That's not something that
nope.
I recommend, even though, I was told that was what I had to do and such. It just doesn't feel right. So
No.
I think, like we were saying, sleep is so personal, and also, following your instincts of what feels right to you and for your child. And some children might whimper, fall right asleep. That's okay. But it's that child that is kind of crying and kind of in a distress that we don't want to let them go on, because there we're doing them a disservice about sleep. And that's when we have kind of these techniques where we can stay with them for a little bit and then kind of, move out slowly, kind of kind of when we're doing some training, slowly get out of the room so that but for me, if we can start from the beginning, putting our children down on their floor bed when they're semi-conscious, like we're not waiting until they're fully asleep in our arms before we put them down, you will have a much easier time. Because the thing that happens when a child falls asleep in our arms, like we wait until they fall asleep in our arms, or they're falling asleep at our breast, and we put them down,
they wake up.
Well, first of all, they can wake up, and that's where I like to use the tamponcino for the newborns, is because they stay in their warmth. But no, the thing is that we all wake up sometime during the night, right? We all kind of have this awakening, and we're in our room, we're in our bed, okay, we go back to sleep.
Yeah.
A child who has fallen asleep in your arms, when they wake up, they are alone in their bed.
Yeah.
They freak out.
Yeah, they don't understand why. What happened?
Like, what happened?
Yeah.
So I much prefer having a rhythm around sleep. It's like, I'm putting you down in your bed. This is where you sleep. I love you. See you in a couple of hours tomorrow, whatever the situation is, so that we get used to falling asleep on our own. We take ownership of that sleep. So.
And sometimes, like you just say, like sometimes simple words will change everything. Like I tried that, and just saying like, you need to rest, and mommy's coming back in 20 minutes. And that's it. It could work. it couldn't, but actually it did. But yeah, just simple word like reassuring and saying like, I will come back just in 20 minutes. I mean, they understand everything but so if we want to sum up everything, like the floor bed allows the child to actually to get control of the situation and to know when they are tired, they can go on the bed. When they wake up, they can just come and play
Exactly.
And we need to follow their needs. Really,
exactly.
like
Yeah. And the floor bed is really there's, two important concepts around that is this notion of the freedom of movement, because, that is a very big kind of cornerstone in Montessori, is this sense of natural movement. Like we don't use containers, right? The exercisers and the playpens and things like that, where we're confining our children to restricting their movement. We try as much as possible. I mean, we have to put them in a car seat or things like that. So sometimes it is important, and sometimes, a playpen is the only way you can do it. I mean, I remember I had my son and I went to visit my mother who was very ill, and like it reassured her that he was in a playpen. So it was temporary and that's fine. And so the idea of the crib is that it's confining them in their movement. So the floor bed is this idea of freedom of movement, and this idea that you trust the process of your child knowing that this is where they rest and relax and sleep. And that they will learn that this is comfy, this is where they might roll off, and they will learn that that wasn't so comfortable on the hardwood floor. Some might sleep, a lot on the floor. It doesn't really matter as long as they're sleeping, as long as they have that area. And I will just say one more thing about just the floor bed, because I had a family who co-slept with their first child. And this was part of their family culture, and it just made sense. But the thing is she had set up a floor bed in his room from the very, very beginning, right? And the thing is that one day, this child, so walking, said, "Oh, is this for me?" Laid down and never went back to the parental bed. So it's there. You're showing them you've already established this area. And he just needed that time of attachment. Parents needed that time because it was part of their culture that we co-sleep, like the mom was saying in India, and that's fine. What works for you, what makes sense for you, is important.
It's very personal, yeah.
But have an area for them set up so that they can choose to.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
So thank you so much for.
You're very welcome.
For today. Oh, we have one other comment. Like, I heard that cappuccino for small babies has a risk of suffocation. Do you agree? I think we lost Jean-Marie. I don't know if you can hear us again. Let's see. Oh, so we lost Jean-Marie. I'm gonna try to add. I don't know. So anyway, if you have any other questions, feel free to.
There we go.
Yeah.
Somehow I was booted off. So
it's I mean, it's always me. Each live I did, I disappear. So for once, it's not me.
So yeah, Karina asks says, I heard that the cappuccino for small baby has a risk of suffocation. Do you agree? I don't. I will really. I've always, seen it used very safely. This is used really, very, very early on. And it's not something that they're going to necessarily sleep the night through. It's really about, carrying the baby keeping them in their warmth, in their scent, kind of remembering prenatal life. And it's really also very, very helpful when you have visitors who don't maybe necessarily know how to hold a baby. Their temperature is going to be different, their scent is going to be different. So it's really about keeping the baby secure. I don't use the Tompachino for sleep. It's most for transferring, for carrying. If they fall asleep, maybe they're breastfeeding, they fall asleep, they are in the Tompachino. You can put them down on the Tompachino. You're not going to wake them up because there's going to be a temperature change between our warm arms and the cold bed. But be vigilant like anything. But I have never heard of that. So yeah, just wanted to say that. And I see Nellie is here. Lots of wonderful people. Okay, wonderful.
So thank you,
You're very
Mary.
welcome. Very welcome.
So we each month we will talk about a new topic. So today was sleep, and next month we will
surprise.
We will see. If you have if you're watching us and you want to a specific topic, just send a message. We will be happy to talk about it. And so yeah, have a good day and see you next month.
Next month, yes. Wonderful February to you all.
Thank you.
All right. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Bye.